Hey all, Ron here from Military Images Magazine with a new episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail. Before dawn on July 13th, 1862, about 1,400 gray horsemen, led by Brigadier General Nathan Bedford Forrest, raided Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and launched a surprise attack on its unsuspecting Union garrison. At one point during the ensuing fight, Forrest rode up to one of his subordinates, Major Baxter Smith, and asked him if his Tennesseans could charge and take part of the hastily formed Union defensive line. The major turned to his troopers. He looked upon the face of the young man pictured here, his 19-year-old aide, First Lieutenant James Trimble Brown, known to friends and family as Trim. Smith saw a young man eager for the fray. Trim's expression of determination and those of the other men inspired Major Smith, who then turned and told Forrest we would follow wherever he would lead, and with one bold and vigorous dash, the position was taken. In the end, Forrest's men captured the entire enemy garrison and a vast quantity of supplies. The raid was considered a smashing success. Major Smith later said of Trim, no one on that memorable day bore himself more gallantly or acted his part better. Those who knew Trim would have expected nothing less, for he hailed from a family of leaders. His father, Neil Brown, had been elected governor of Tennessee on the Whig ticket during the Mexican War. His uncle, John C. Brown, became a Confederate general. Trim grew up the eldest of 7 brothers and sisters in Pulaski, about 20 miles from the Alabama border, and Nashville. He was carefully educated by his parents and then went to work as a public school teacher in Nashville. He joined the Army after the war began and served in all 3 branches of the military. Trim started as an artillery lieutenant. In 1862, he learned that Forrest was organizing a cavalry brigade to operate in Middle Tennessee, which included his home in Union-occupied Nashville. Trim sought out an audience with Major Baxter Smith to offer his services. Years later, Smith remembered that meeting. He wrote, Trim came to me at McMinnville, where General Forrest was organizing his 1st Brigade, and having learned that the command would be moved into Middle Tennessee near Nashville, soon he asked the privilege of serving on my staff, which was cheerfully accorded to him because of my knowledge and admiration for his father and the family. From that time on, he was constantly with me during the celebrated raid of Forrest on Murfreesboro. That was in July of 1862, and for some time afterwards, sharing with me the life of a soldier. And it was then and under those circumstances that I formed my estimate of the sterling qualities of head and heart of this noble youth. And from that day to this, I have ever held him in the most affectionate esteem. In September 1862, about 2 months after the great raid on Murfreesboro, Trim's uncle John, an infantry brigadier in the Army of Tennessee, nominated Trim as one of his aides de camp. Trim joined his uncle and served with distinction in the 1863 battles of Chickamauga, Lookout Mountain, and Missionary Ridge. The following year, he left the staff as a captain. It was an unconfirmed rank, and returned to the cavalry as an assistant adjutant general on the division level. He remained with the Army of Tennessee until it was surrendered in North Carolina in April 1865. Trim then returned to Nashville, married, and started a family that grew to include 2 sons and a daughter. He became an attorney and, driven by a burning ambition, tempered by a modest, affable nature, established a reputation as one of the most promising young members of the city's bar. He became a candidate for District Attorney General in 1878. On May 31st, during the campaign, he participated in Decoration Day ceremonies honoring Union war dead. He became overheated and afterwards stopped at a restaurant for a cup of tea. He complained of feeling poorly. His condition worsened. His brother in law, a physician, was sent for. Trim was taken to the doctor's residence. By this time, he had lapsed into unconsciousness and remained in this state until his death at 12:30 a.m. the next morning. He was all of 36 years old. The members of the Burns Artillery, a militia company he had joined after the war, blamed his death on the fatigue suffered while paying respects to his former foes on Decoration Day. His shocked brother lawyers met and spoke of his untimely passing and praised a life cut tragically short. A reverend offered a poignant recollection of Trim. About 25 years ago, I saw a bright little boy. I found him on the street and greeted him. Though he was a child, I formed a very strong attachment for him, and I believe that feeling was reciprocated. I've known Trim all his life long, and he has always been a friend of mine. He was only moved by what he believed to be just and right. And in that dreadful war, I and others found the same brave, cool, generous, well behaved young man and gallant officer. Moreover, he returned home and formed a happy alliance, and in his matrimonial connections became a husband and a father, and he settled down among us and bid fair to make one of our most prominent and useful citizens. He was a man of fine personal appearance, manly form, a gentle, generous countenance, a well cultivated mind, a good intellect, of high moral character, with bright prospects before him. One attorney compared Trim to former Nashville area resident and U.S. President Andrew Jackson. In war, he exhibited the heroism of a soldier. He possessed as high an order of courage as ever characterized the hero of the Hermitage, and was as knightly and heroic in his bearing. A formal statement issued by the bar included the phrase, "His life was brief, beautiful, and brilliant." Few funerals that were ever reported in town were quite as large as that held in Nashville for Trim, according to a local newspaper. A lengthy procession included the Burns Artillery with 2 guns suitably draped for the sad occasion, and a hearse trimmed with black plumes and drawn by 4 white horses. Following it was the horse of the deceased in trappings of mourning, the helmet formerly worn by Lieutenant Brown resting upon the horn of the saddle. After the memorial service, the procession moved to the cemetery. A 6-gun salute was fired after the remains were interred. And such was the end of 36-year-old Trim Brown, a veteran of 3 branches of the Confederate Army during the Civil War. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail.